Hey everybody, what's up? It's Joel, aka the Daily Guru, and it's time for another edition of Something Old, Something New. Today for Something Old, we're going to check out one of my all-time favorite records. We're going to go back to 1978 and look at Magazine's Real Life. Though it's unfathomable to think that anybody would have stepped away from the UK punk scene in 1977, that's exactly what Howard Devoto of the Buzzcocks did. Feeling that the style itself had become overdone and cliche already, he stepped aside and formed the band Magazine, and this record is proof that he was absolutely right in his choices. Falling somewhere between punk and experimental, the tension that runs throughout this record is second to none. And at the same time, there's this dark feel to it that's perfectly unique. The overall quality of the music isn't all that surprising when you consider that the band had former and future members of Susie and the Banshees, the Bad Seeds, Public Image Limited, and many others, along with legendary drummer Martin Jackson. And it's the sheer talent that they put out there that pushes this album so far beyond any of their peers. Every single mood they attempt is executed with absolute perfection on this album, and you can hear everything from punk to post-punk to experimental and even traces of new wave on this record. Along with this, Howard Devoto brings some of his finest vocals and lyrics that he's ever put out there, and his voice truly operates as another instrument on every single song. Whether it's the iconic track Shot by Both Sides or the amazing Definitive Gaze, there's not a moment anywhere on Real Life that's anything less than subpar, and if somehow it's not in your collection, you need to change that right away. Thank me later. Today for Something Old, we're going to check out the brand new self-titled release from Peter Buck. This is the first solo effort that any member of R.E.M. has put out since that band broke up a few years ago. And when you think about it, the voice of Peter Buck was rarely heard across the 3 decades he spent with that band. The record starts off with a rather intriguing, almost Tom Waits-esque grind and grit to it, and this sound appears a number of times throughout the record. In fact, there are a number of points on this album where the sound gets a bit more aggressive than you might expect, but his ability to write catchy, poppy hooks has not been lost in the least. This album really runs the gamut from dark tracks to more straightforward rock songs to songs that are even a bit country, maybe even bordering on psychobilly at times. But the reality quickly becomes that with all these different sounds, the record severely lacks consistency. The flow is very disjointed, and this leads to the track ordering becoming very distracting to the actual music. Along with this, I have to admit that there are a few moments on this album that are outright horrid musically, and you have to wonder why they were left on the final release. In the end, there's no question that Peter Buck has a great deal of musical creativity left inside him, and obviously a lot of this went untapped within his previous band. But the album comes off as more of a musical experiment or maybe some loose demo tracks than a cohesive record. But at the same time, there are definitely a few tracks worth hearing, so on the buy it or borrow it, this one is a decent borrow it. So that's what I got for you guys today. I hope you dug it. If you did, go ahead and click subscribe, leave a comment, click like, whatever you want to do. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr right here, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow.